Hey guys, it's Barbarian King. I'm making a YouTube video right now, and this video is actually going to be a what if video, and the title of it will be What If Deku Was Sent to the Devil May Cry universe. And I'm not like saying the video games, I'm saying like that brand new Netflix series anime
But if it's legal, I'll need you to
a
file a
from
requisition form
where
1348
it's
or
where
1349.
instead of the dimension of the demons is a hell, it's instead another dimension where the demons are considered the primary life force there, life forms, and where they are considered themselves as basically they are the humans of their universe, and well, basically it's going to be primarily focused around that specific and Devil May Cry, and I am going to be giving Deku a quirk. For most of you that don't know what a quirk is, or Deku, aka Izuku Midoriya, Deku is actually Izuku Midoriya's hero name. The anime Deku is from is called My Hero Academia. It's a universe where we're in the near future. 80% of humanity, actually not humanity specifically, because animals have also displayed powers, like the principal of UA, who has two quirks, where his first quirk is called Chimera. He's a blend between a puppy dog, a rat, and a bear, and his second quirk gives him a big intelligence boost to where he even rivals like people like Elon Musk and like that. His So Izuku's quirk is going to be a quirk I decided to make up, but it's going to have similarities to another person's quirk. His quirk can basically create any type of superpower Izuku imagines, as long as he eats enough protein with it. One entire quirk, but the second quirk comes with is the ability to give away those quirks based on if he thinks these people deserve those powers. And that's right. The one similarity to anyone else with with that kind of power to be able to give those people powers is All For One, the number one villain of the My Hero Academia universe, who has the power to steal and give away quirks. And I'm going to make it to where, even though Izuku is 16 years old at the time where he fights off the Yakuza and Overhaul to save Eri, I want to make it to where Izuku adopts Eri after like a week has passed. And I'm going to say a full month later, that's when he gets teleported to the Devil May Cry universe. I'm going to make it to where it's a few days before Dante is or having people trying to take his necklace. So that means until I want to say not 3. We'll get to that point in a bit, but I want to say until a few days, Izuku and Eri are going to be living with Dante, and Dante helps them get their footing there, and he helps Izuku learn how to use demonic power to imbue his abilities. The first couple powers I'm going to give Izuku, I'm going to say as soon as he realizes what his quirk is, he gives himself 4 specific powers after eating enough protein for him to be able to give him those powers. The powers will be the following. a teleportation with two functions. The first function is where it can be like a line of sight 20 feet in front of them teleportation. The second function is going to be basically a long range memory teleportation, where as long as he's been there, he can teleport to that place. But this one would be I'm going to make it to where it's to where that specific power is his ultimate move with teleportation. The reason why I'm making it his ultimate move is so I can give him at least one limit with that one, and that would be the how much stamina it'll take. The second quirk I'm going to give him will be shock absorption and redispersion. With this one, he is able to increase his strength by the more damage he takes. Another function of it will be that he can disperse the absorbed energy around his body instead of just deploying it in random spots of his body. It also has the passive ability of giving him basic super strength, super durability, and I want to say the second passive with it is that he is bulletproof. The third power I'm going to give him will be super speed. It will be similar to the Flash's super speed, but I'm going to make it to where instead of having the yellow, blue, or white lightning, I'm going to make it to where he has his own unique lightning, green lightning. Yes, I know that is a thing in the comics, and it's due to how Kid Flash created a clone of himself by running back in time and while staying in the current timeline. Basically a speed clone, and that's because the reason why it has green lightning is because it's a speed clone. But I'm going to make it to where green lightning is a natural color of lightning someone can obtain as long as they have the speed force. And that's why I'm giving Izuku as his third power, the speed force. The fourth and final power I'll be saying he gave himself as soon as he discovered his power is that he has the ability to fly. He gives himself the ability to fly and combine it with his super speed as well. So, in other words, he's going to have teleportation, super strength / absorption, and bulletproof all in one, and super speed, aka speed force, and the flight. The one thing I'm going to make it to where when he gets sent to the Devil May Cry universe is that he's cautious at first, not knowing where him and his daughter are. So that's all I want to say for the basics. For any new powers I give him, I'll explain them in his point of view, and on to the what if. We start at UA, where Izuku is training alongside his adopted daughter, Eri. His adopted daughter, Eri, is training to be a medical hero. Because she has her quirk Rewind, which whatever organic matter she touches, she can rewind it to a previous state. She is learning how to control that quirk of hers, so she can be like Recovery Girl. And I want to say a few hours later, they finish training. And after they get back to the dorm building where the rest of Class 1A is. They sit down in the living room. Right as they're sitting down, a weird looking blue portal opens up. That blue portal then turns red and starts sucking everything in. It primarily focuses on sucking in Eri and Izuku. Izuku notices that nobody else is being pulled in but him and Eri. So he knew if Eri went through there without anything to cushion her fall, she would get extremely hurt. So he grabbed onto her by jumping towards her, and as he went through the portal, turns his back towards it, so he takes more of the blunt damage to wherever they fall. The next point of view is when they wake up. They wake up seeing a white-haired man with a red coat and a giant sword and 2 handguns in his hands, as well as the giant sword being on his back. The man says, "Are you two a demon? Never seen a demon child before." Izuku then stands up and says, "What do you mean demon? Demons don't exist." Dante is like, "Where have you been, kid? Because demons is practically my job to kill." Izuku looks at the white-haired man with the red coat and says, "What's your name?" The man then introduces himself as Dante, a demon hunter. Izuku asks where they were. I'm going to say, from what I saw in the anime of Devil May Cry, it looked like they were somewhere that looks like New York. So I'm going to say Dante says, "We're in New York. And you fell out of the sky through some kind of weird red portal." Izuku said, "Yeah, I remember that." And then he says, "Well, I don't know about demons, but where I'm from, we have villains, people who uses their powers for evil or for greedy intentions or to hurt society for hurting them." Dante is like, "That sounds like a cool freaking world." So Izuku then tells him that, yeah, it might be cool, but there's a lot of people that go towards villainy for when they feel like that's the only way for them to get people to listen to them. When Izuku and Dante and Eri get back to his little apartment looking place, they then sit down and talk, and Izuku asks Dante on how can he get back home, saying that if there's demons, there must be some kind of portal thing they have that can allow Izuku to travel back to his world. Dante says, "I'm not really sure, but there might be something like that. But for now you can hang out with me and kill some demons with me. Make it easier for me to get more money." Izuku says, "Yeah, sure, why not? I don't mind, as long as it helps me get home faster." Dante asks, "So what is your power?" Izuku says, my quirk is called All for All. Basically, it allows me to create any quirk I want as long as I eat enough protein. It doesn't matter the type of quirk I make, it's just I need protein to even create any form of quirk. The main function of it is that it does give me a lot of abilities, but it has one drawback with the whole thing. It makes me a little egotistical. Not by choice. It makes me egotistical due to how much power I have. the power is influencing my brain to be more ego-like, to make it to where I feel like I'm a god. So Dante says, yeah, that does sound like a problem, to where your own power messes with your brain to make you sound ego, to make it sound like you have a huge ego, to where you are calling yourself a god. Dante then asks, who even is the little girl with the horn and white hair? Izuku says, this is Eri. She is my adopted daughter. I saved her from a villain named Overhaul, who is also the leader of the Yakuza. The leader of the Yakuza, Overhaul, had a very powerful quirk. This quirk basically allowed him to dismember and remember anyone he touches, allowing him to create them in his image. And he was very believed that quirks were a disease, and that he was using Ares' flesh and blood to make bullets that permanently erase quirks. Due to how Ares' quirk can rewind a person back to a previous state, so that in turn made Overhaul think that if he used her flesh and blood to make bullets, it can rewind a person back to the age where quirks never existed. During the rescue, Izuku decided to do something he didn't want to do at first, but decided that Overhaul was an exception. He created a quirk that would steal the souls of anybody he hates. And when he does steal someone's soul, it gives them a boost in all of the person's current powers, and he can temporarily give those people the boost that he obtains with the power boost. The main function of this power is to punish the guilty, because even though the body doesn't have a soul anymore, or the soul doesn't have a body, it makes it to where the soul is still fully conscious and aware, and every time the person uses the boosting ability with the souls that they've stolen, it tortures them, ripping their soul apart to the point they are almost non-existent. Dante is like, shit, dude, you're brutal. I know killing someone is bad, but being able to steal their souls and torture them by using the boosting ability you made it to where you obtained from using their soul power, that's even more brutal. Izuku said, yeah, I know. He then explains Ares' quirk in detail, saying how Ares' quirk, Rewind, gets more powerful the more she doesn't use it. The more she doesn't use it, the more bigger her horn grows. Her horn at the current time is at to where she hasn't used her power in a year. So she has a year's worth of quirk energy to heal somebody, or rewind them to where they weren't born yet, or to where they are basically a primate. During the explanation of Ares' power, Dante is like, well, that's useful. I'm assuming she was trained to become like a healing hero in your world? Izuku says, you're actually spot on that statement. Eri wanted me to help her train to use her power so she can become a healing hero. For heroes on the battlefield, for when a big villain attack happens and they're injured, she can heal them mid-battle. So during the stay, they do a few jobs out hunting demons. Eri and Izuku meet Anzo, the short blonde guy who is like Dante's like guardian figure when he was still a kid, taught him how to become a demon hunter for money, and practically, you know, raised him. Now we skip a few weeks to all the way to the point on when the government decides to act on these demons by letting the president know there is a secret governmental force that even he doesn't know about that hunts and kills demons. And they explain how hell isn't really a place people go when they die, but it's a place where another race is in. A race that looks more demonic in nature, and that in the past people had the technology to travel into hell. But after so many like new technological advancements came along, the technology for dimensional travel has gone missing, making it to where only the demons know how to enter and exit hell and earth. They explain how they explain to these mercenaries they are hiring about Dante, saying how they need the necklace around his neck because his necklace is one half out of five halves of the key to hell. So they laugh at first thinking demons aren't real, and this is one part that I am going to cut off from the canon event in Devil May Cry series, and that is where instead of the demon that is there in the skies dressed like a cowboy, he is discovered after all the civilian mercenaries leave. He is exposed while he's there. So one of the people that are standing on the side, a strong, tall-looking woman with two colored eyes. One eye was red while the other was green. And she walks up saying, demons do have one thing that they do have a couple things they can tell them apart from humans. She starts explaining how the limbs are disfigured, how they're longer than they should be. Their eyes are too far apart from a normal person's, and they have the stench of ozone, death, and brimstone. And then what she does next is the very specific thing about them is that no matter how good they are at hiding it, they have one thing they can't hide: their hearts. She then ripped off the man's shirt in the front, showing a exposed orange glowing heart popping out of the chest. The man then turned into a giant mantis-like creature with horns and scythes for hands. She then activated rocket boots that are strapped to her heels, and then starts running towards the demon, and then shoots a bullet into his head. The bullet is, however, the tip of the bullet is made of a normal bullet casing, bullet head, but the casing of it is made out of a clear glass, carrying a very dark green liquid. This liquid makes it to where when it touches demon blood, it makes the demons explode wherever the bullet hits. So she then first shoots the demon in his leg, and the leg blew up. Then his arm, then his shoulder, and then the last part she shot him at is his head, killing him. everybody's seeing this or in shock, seeing how demons do exist and that they have the ability to hide amongst them. They then agree to help capture Dante if possible, but primarily focusing on the necklace. The necklace is then explain on why they want to get it, is that it is only one half of the gateway to hell. And they ask, where's the other half? Or halves? And they said the first half is owned by the current demon they're calling the Rabbit Man. The Rabbit Man is still a human, but he was an orphaned human, and no matter what adoption centers he went to, they always abused him or neglected him, saying they only wanted him because due to him being on the spectrum, he is valuable because they'll give him money. So after he was done with it, he was about to just jump out his window and kill himself, but then a gateway to hell opened up, and that's where the rabbit came to be known. The mercenaries there were like, gotta be fucked up to join demons and treat them like your family. And they all agreed on that, and right after the meeting ended, they went to capture Dante and the necklace. What they didn't know is that Dante had two new friends. A young boy from another version of Earth with a power that he can literally give himself any other kind of power he desired, as long as he ate enough protein for it. And a young girl that can rewind any wounds back to a previous state. When the people get there, they then start getting ready to bust in. The whole scenario with Anzo and how he is like trying to convince Dante and Izuku to just give up the necklace, but they weren't having none of it, so they tied him up and used them as bait, making the mercenaries think that Anzo is Dante by putting a white mop on his head and putting an old red coat of Dante's on him. When the mercenaries turned the man around, they then realized that this isn't the man they were looking for. So they then turned around, trying to find the demon man they were looking for, and they found him at a pool table, getting ready to hit all the pool balls at them. But what they saw next was a green-haired boy and a white-haired girl with a horn. They were wondering who they were, and right as they were getting ready to attack, Dante hit the cue ball and made all the pool balls fly over at everybody, hitting all of them all at once. What happened next is a whole fight scene where Dante and Izuku were just moving around at supersonic speed, avoiding all the bullets. At one point, Dante was caught off guard when a mercenary was able to get close enough to take a shotgun point blank to Dante's chest. What the mercenary didn't realize is that even Dante doesn't realize this, but he is half demon. After they think they won, he tries reaching for the necklace, but as soon as he does, Dante moves his arm, saying Nope, not yours. And then sucker punches him in the face, and then not shoot him, then hits him in the head with his sword, flinging him backwards. In the truck, watching, the main group of demon hunters are watching the feed, hoping that they can do this without many casualties. This is when one of the primary demon hunters say, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, what was that?" And they look at the video recording, seeing how Dante just healed in a matter of seconds from a shotgun wound on his chest that went from the front of his chest to the back of his body. Saying, how is that possible? Lady then brings up the details on how there was a myth of a dark demon knight of hell named Sparta. This demon knight rebelled against hell because he started realizing that the people he worked for are evil and they wanted to conquer Earth. So they say in the legends when he realized this, he started killing his own men and basically slaughtering all of hell before going through hell's gates to the human world and closing it from the other side, making it to where he can't get making it to where the demons can't get to hell, can't get from hell to earth anymore. And they ask why is she talking about some myth, and she says, I'm about to try something. As soon as she's done talking, she then gets into a running stance and starts running off the roof of a building that she was on, activating her jet boosters at the last second, causing her to practically fly through the window of Dante, Izuku, and Ari's apartment. Izuku sees this and thinks she's just another mercenary and just charges up his current strength that he's accumulated in his arm to throw a big punch at her. But what he didn't expect was the woman to shoot past him with as much speed as she could and practically just completely avoids him in general, only having eyes on completing the mission, and fires a grappling hook towards Dante's neck, grabbing on to the necklace. Dante, realizing that she wasn't aiming for him but was aiming for the necklace, he got mad seeing how his necklace that his mother entrusted him with was just stolen. So he started chasing the woman to get his necklace back, the last thing he has of his mother. Izuku also started running to help him, and as soon as they caught up with the demon hunting girl, they started a full-on brawl with each other. And at the point where Lady then realizes that the green-haired boy has some kind of power, as well as the child that's on his back has a horn, so she automatically thinks she's a demon. What she didn't expect was when she did shoot Eri and landed a hit on Eri's arm below her elbow, is seeing how it didn't affect her at all. In fact, there was no explosion afterwards. saying, "How is that possible? That bullet is supposed to explode when contacting with demon blood." Izuku then explains, "Me and Eri aren't demons. We're from another version of Earth where 80% of life has these genetic mutations we call quirks, which are basically what you would call a power. Eri's quirk is called rewind. She can rewind any organic matter back to a previous state. She has a mutation with it, being that horn. My quirk is I named All for All. It is a quirk that allows me to create any kind of power I want as long as I have enough protein in my body to do so. The one drawback of it, with it alone, is that it makes me to where I have the ego of a god. Lady then realizes that if they are from another Earth and if what they're saying is true, that would mean they can't kill them because they're human, and they won't be able to kill them easily because of their powers. Because I'm going to say Aries Wee1 quirk also gives her a passive healing factor because Lady started seeing how the bullet was just falling out of Aries' skin. And Lady's suit has a mini camera on it, allowing not only the people on the truck to see, but the people at home base to see as well. They also heard about what Izuku said, and realizing if the boy is telling the truth, there is another world out there with people with powers that can destroy society, but they coexist with these powers. And if the boy's power on what he says is true, he has the power to level nations and basically get away with it scot-free because he can make himself immortal if he wanted to. So after the whole scenario with that, they then go to the main area of the where they set up the trucks, luring Izuku, Eri, and Dante into a truck, not knowing it was a truck. After that, Lady struck them with tranquilizer darts. These tranquilizer darts were fast acting because as soon as they embedded themselves into Eri and Izuku and Dante, they instantly fell asleep. During their sleep, Izuku sees a vision, because I want to say the quirk he gave himself before he was teleported was a prediction quirk, the ability to predict the future while sleeping. What he saw is the Earth he is from, the Earth he's in, and the dimension of hell fusing together and blowing up. And all of this was caused, in his vision, by two giant demons. One made of red obsidian-like scales and has the ability to shoot out fire hotter than the sun, and with a lot of tentacles coming out of his back and a giant mouth on his gut. The other giant demon is a giant stone-looking demon with a giant sword in the Earth dimension, killing each other. With the unknown blue demon with wings fighting in the middle of them, as well as another red demon, but smaller, also with wings. Both of them having swords looking like they were made of flesh. As soon as the merging was complete between both Earth and the demon realm, is when the dimension blew up. When Izuku woke up, he was in a cold sweat, and Lady said, What was it? A nightmare? Yes. But my nightmares aren't based on my dreams, because I gave myself a power that would allow me to predict the future while sleeping. In my dream, I dreamt of the future of both my Earth, your Earth, and the demon realm fusing together. But as the fusion was completed, both the entirely of all three just blew up.
Hear that?
Lady and the other person driving, hearing this, was in shock, hearing that he can predict the future by sleeping, and hearing that in the future something like this will happen. So they reported this on their walkie-talkie back to their boss. And Izuku says, "Why do you think Dante's a demon?" She says, "The bullets I shot y'all with are anti-demon rounds. They're basically made to kill demons by blowing up when it comes in contact with their blood. In other words, y'all two, due to the bullets not blowing up, automatically confirms you two aren't demons. But due to how it blew up when it hit y'all's friend, Dante, that proves he's a demon." Izuku looks at Dante and says, "If what she says is true, then that does mean that you might be a demon, Dante." "Yeah, right. I killed those things because they killed my mom and brother." Izuku says, "I know they did, but it doesn't rule out that you could be a demon, especially if those bullets only blow up when contact with demon blood. If it's true, then that would mean the sword I saw that one smaller red demon looked like a fleshy version of your sword, the Rebellion." Dante looks at Izuku and says, "You're saying one of the events that will predict the future of Earth's all dimensions involves me being in my demon form, from what you're saying?" And Izuku says, "Yes. That's exactly what I predicted." But the weird part is, there was a blue demon that actually looked similar in appearance to you. But instead of a double-edged sword, it was a single-edged sword, similar to a katana. And unlike you, he had more speed, while you had more strength. And Izuku then brings up, "I know you're going to hate me for saying this, but if the demon that I saw looks similar to you in your demon form and its demon's form, and that can only be possible in this world by genetic relations." Dante is then getting a little annoyed, saying, "You better not say it. You better not say what I think you're about to say. There's a chance Virgil is alive, and he's the demon I saw in my vision. But he was helping the giant stone demon, which I assume will be this Mundus you talk about, what should I call you?" The woman then says, I don't want people to know my name when I don't trust them. So you can just call me Lady, because that's my code name. Alright? Izuku says, "That's understandable." So, as they're talking about this, they do have the radios to both trucks constantly active to keep in touch with one another. As Izuku is telling them about his place right now, they are in shock hearing about how the multiverse theory is actually a real thing. So they then so as they're driving along the freeway, they then started noticing how there's a traffic jam, and after after something happened between the main driver noticing something and nodding towards the traffic police that nodded towards him, it turns out the traffic police and the driver were aligned with one another, because the traffic police was actually a demon that worked for the White Rabbit. The reason why the driver was willingly working with them was because the demons were threatening his daughters, saying that if he doesn't do as they demand, they will kill his daughters. They then blew up the bridge by collapsing a building on it by blowing up the building. After that, all the people get out of their cars and started getting ready for an all-out brawl. Before Lady can get out, Izuku says, "I know you don't trust me, but at least think about this. All those people will die because a group of demons. Due to how it's a group of demons, it's a outnumbering scenario against you. The more outnumbered you are, the more harder it's going to be to protect the civilians. Let me and Dante and Eri go, so Eri can heal anybody injured, while me and Dante help you fight." Lady was reluctant, but decided to allow it. Lady then pressed the button on the remote, releasing Izuku, Dante, and Eri. Izuku then, using his speed force power, phases through the door of the truck, along with Dante and Eri. When they all get out, they're all getting ready for a big fight. Then right as they're ready to fight, they notice a giant snake lady, as well as a flying demon with a giant sword. And they notice the highway police turning into a blue gooey substance, and then transforming his hands into battle axes. Izuku then starts to create a new ability. His new ability he's creating is anti-demon weapon creation, which will allow him to create basically any weapon he has knowledge of that has been known to kill demons. Either be it a mythical sword or even a video game weapon. After he does this, he then creates 2 swords made of pure lightning out of his back and puts them into a reverse grip. While in the reverse grip form, he has more speed. Because I want to say the swords he created were the Demon Monarch sword from the anime/mobile phone video game Solo Leveling. Swords that grant the user assassin-like abilities, and it mostly focuses on killing other demons with super speed attacks. After he does this, he then slices one demon, and as soon as he does, he then shoots it again with a weapon he made that basically combines with his super strength. a pistol that has that has the ability to turn into a warhammer. By infusing it with super strength, it can increase the strength of the bullet to have the ability to destroy anything the bullet hits. And when in hammer form, it can literally cause earthquakes. As Izuku uses the pistol form of his anti-demon weapon he created, he tries slamming it on the ground, causing the whole bridge to shake, causing the demons to lose their balance. As the demons were disoriented, Izuku was able to get the flying demon knight and pull him down to the ground by using telekinesis, one of the powers he created for himself before being teleported to the Devil May Cry universe. While using telekinesis on the demons, he then uses that demon as a flying bat, hitting all the demons around them. The one thing that Izuku didn't account for was the white rabbit that he heard of with an RPG standing on a capsized bus, getting ready to shoot what he assumed was Dante, and Dante was getting ready to block it, but then saw how the white rabbit turned around instantly, aiming the rocket launcher at a school bus filled with kids.
Good luck. They're coming.
The white rabbit was smiling while doing this, knowing that Dante and Izuku would lose all interest in stopping them to save the children. Izuku and Dante instantly started running towards the bus. Dante and Izuku activating their passive abilities, which is super speed and super strength. Dante using his sword to bounce the missile away, while Izuku grabbed it, and the white rabbit and all the demons looked as shocked at Izuku as he slammed the missile against his chest, thinking the kid was suicidal. But the last thing they expected was the kid's skin to start glowing blue. Realizing that instead of dying, the kid absorbed the kinetic energy from the explosion, and from the absorption granted him super strength from it that would allow him to be on par with at least a mid-level demon, which unfortunately for the demons that are there are all low, are all high to, are all like medium rank demons, lower than mid rank. And they can feel the amount of strength the kid obtained by his energy.
She's back. She's coming for me.
They then decide to get ready to leave, since the white rabbit already managed to steal Dante's half of the necklace. But during this fight, they also realized something about the white rabbit not only having the demon sword of Sparta, the Mirage Edge, but also realizing that he had the other half of the medallion, granting him 3 halves of the key to the gateway of hell. And he mentioned this, that he only has 3 halves of the key, making the scientists there think on what could the other things be. And he realized there has to be some kind of decoder to decode the barrier. And the demon rabbit, the white rabbit, then smiles, saying, "Yes, there is. And he's right there." He then points to Dante, and Dante's hearing this, thinking, why would Sparta's weapons require me as a decoder? And the white rabbit then reveals the big secret on who Dante's father is. Dante's father is Sparta, the dark demon knight who railed against hell. Dante and everybody else were flabbergasted, wanting to know how he would even know such a thing. And the demon rabbit then revealed it, because Virgil is Mundus's right hand, and Mundus has revealed to Virgil that he and Dante are the sons of Sparta. Dante was pissed hearing that Virgil was indeed alive and he was working for the man who killed their mother, thinking that he was being brainwashed by the demons. So he got so angry he started to just run in blindly, aiming to just kill all the demons there without a second thought. And what he didn't know is that Lady forgot to mention that she implanted a bomb into his neck that will explode when he gets too far away. And Dante was chasing them on a motorcycle, and the bomb blew up as soon as he reached a certain point. But during his chase, Izuku was also chasing him. But as he was caught in the crossfire of the explosion, knocking him out along with Dante, allowing the demons to kidnap them and take them to an airplane. Lady, with how she practically now has to watch Eri to keep her safe, due to how she realized if Izuku finds out that she didn't protect Eri and she got hurt, he would create a power that would give him the ability to destroy everything. And she didn't want that, so she willingly protected Eri, even though she looked like a demon. What happened next is Dante and Izuku woke up, and they found themselves on an airplane. Dante, seeing that half of his face was still regrowing, and he confirms that no living human can survive something like this, so it has to be true. I'm a demon. He then notices someone tied up next to him. It was the chairman of the leader of the demon organization, the demon hunters. So he talked to the guy and said, "So you're the one who practically created a whole entire organization to kill all demons?" The man then says, "Yes, I did." Dante then asked him, "What if there was a scenario where the demons weren't fighting of their own will and you still had them killed? Would that still allow you to be in God's good graces? Because I know for a fact God would not accept murder amongst those who are not fighting of their own free will." The man then looked at Dante, thinking about what